Growing up Igbo, being gay isn't what people talk about. People did not talk about it. It is something that people feared. Thinking of it now as an adult, it is crazy. It is not acceptable at all. Nobody wants to hear that you are gay. They feared it. It was preached everywhere that it is wrong. Where I grew up in Kano. Kano is the northern part of Nigeria. I went to primary school in Kano and then ended up going to secondary school in Enugu. I had a really wonderful situation. My house was a wonderful place. We had a neighbor at the time when we were in primary school that took us to every vaccination imaginable. We went to all of it. And this man was from the same state as me, Anambra State. His wife and my mother were best friends. It was such a good environment. I am really lucky in that respect that I wasn't in a situation where I had the experiences some children had that was horrible. That I am lucky with. When you are someone that is gay, the environment where you grew up in matters a lot. People underestimate this. I was loved. My mother was wonderful. My mother knew. Maybe she didn't have a word for it. At the time, my mother had a restaurant. So when they go for Christmas shopping for clothes, my mother would be like, make sure you take my child with you. Make sure you take him with you. Because if you buy anything that he did not choose, he will not wear it. I knew what I wanted when it comes to the clothes I wore, the way I styled them and things like this. So she knew this. And all through my younger days, my mother will always say, oh, this my child is special. He's different. She knows. A lot of the times, some of our parents know these things and they just ignore it because that is something they feared. This is nothing that happens here. Because of this, they just don't want to acknowledge that it's something that you are. Kind of like in denial, if you know what I mean. It's extremely disappointing, the expectations that is placed on young African boys, young Igbo boys. The expectations is horrible. You are expected to present a certain way. You are expected to be powerful, not do certain things that girls are expected to do. So if you are a boy, you are supposed to play football with other boys. You are supposed to like rough play. If you are a child that is a boy and you like to do certain things that girls do, even if you are not feminine presenting, it becomes a massive problem. I will never forget this. We traveled to the village a few years ago when I was really younger. We went to the village. We traveled every 2 years for Christmas to my village, and we traveled to the village. We were playing house, what kids do, and it was about 6 of us. The boys were more, and one of this particular boy was now paired with a boy, and he was playing a girl. Like they were doing, my daughter, his father came. You need to see the way his father reacted. It was crazy, like screaming, and picked up a cane and was flogging this boy. One of the aunties around was like, are you crazy? That this is what children do. They play, they express themselves. There is nothing wrong with this. This is because of, in their head, he's now acting like a girl. This is not something that men do. That stayed with me up until today. This really shaped the way I saw myself, the way I acted around people. Then you look at the way masculinity is seen in the African culture and the Igbo culture. You are expected to be very strong, very powerful. This idea of masculinity and what a man should be is extremely wayward to me. A lot of the times, these people don't really understand what a masculine man is. In the definition of the Igbo culture and the African culture, you have to be strong, you have to be powerful, you have to not cry, don't show emotions, and all of these things. Knowing what I know, masculinity is about you being emotionally mature, showing empathy, respect women, respect other people, someone that people can come to and you give them advice. It is not about how powerful you are, who you're going to be able to overcome and beat and things like this. It is a lot more than that. And a lot of the times, they want you not to express all of these things, not to say, oh, I'm feeling some type of way, I'm not okay today, I cannot do this. It is not about the size of your manhood and how strong you are, and that shapes the way you see yourself. That is the reason why majority of where people from Africa, from Igbo land, from Nigeria, from Ghana are extremely ashamed of who they are. That is why you hear things like, oh, you are a woman when you are gay. This happens to me on social media. When they come and see that I'm a gay man, they'll be like, oh, our wife, you're the woman. reputation? Why do you allow a man to do this with you? There's a lot of importance placed on family reputation, and nobody wants to know that you're gay. I'm talking based on my personal experience. My family reputation, nobody wants to see that you're gay. That is why some of my relatives don't speak to me. They want to keep that reputation intact. That is why you hear things like, we are not homosexuals in this family. Nobody does this in this family. For instance, one of my brothers one day messaged me and said, oh, so this is what you're doing. You are bringing shame to this family. This is not what we do in this family, or our reputation, yada, yada, yada. We don't have this in our lineage. You are bringing shame. And this is what you see happen on a daily basis. I need to turn on the heating in this car because I'm feeling cold. I grew up Catholic. I no longer go to church anymore. Religion and church is so influential in the way it has shaped us as a society, depending where you grew up in Nigeria. For instance, I grew up in Kano, so I was able to mix up with people that are Muslims, people that are Christians, and things like this. There's a lot of religious and church influence everywhere, so this is a sin. That's what you hear. It is a sin. This is horrible. The Bible said it's bad. Islam said it's bad. You should never be a homosexual. And you grow up in this. You internalize it. You take it with you. I know people in my life that are a lot older than me, in their 60s, that are still struggling with this. One of my friends, he's not in his 60s, but he was having some issues recently, and he said to me the reason why God is punishing him is because of his homosexuality. That broke my heart. This is something that I've been working on with him. I said to him, you need to do something about this. The influence religion has, it is used as a control as well. And this continues to happen on a daily basis. You see this happen every time with the videos you see on social media where they speak about children that they think are feminine presenting and things like this. It is extremely horrible. And this is something that you have to work on yourself consciously to get yourself out of. Homosexuality was never, ever discussed in my household. But I did hear a lot of horrible things about gay people, because in Kano, where I grew up, there's a particular place where you go to and you see a lot of men, they call them Yandawudu. So you can hear things about it in passing, and they are always horrible. And at the time when I started hearing a lot of this nonsense, I was already at the age where I knew that I was kind of different, and I was so scared, because all I'm saying to myself is that I am a sinner, I am evil, I am wrong, I am a mistake, I am a taboo, because these are all the things you hear these people say on a daily basis. The conflict that we go through as queer people who are from Africa and the queer person who is Igbo, there is this conflict that you are in, and if you are not careful, it will be for the rest of your life. The first time I realized I was different, that I was gay, and the confusion about attraction, me being gay and being different, I knew as early as 6 years old. But I never had sexual attraction. The things I gravitated towards, I realized that I was so different from all the other boys in my neighborhood. I was totally different. The things I liked, how I liked to dress, how I did not want my things to be dirty. There's so many things I was doing that these other boys weren't doing. I got to puberty, I knew I liked boys straight away. We had a girls' school opposite my school, but it was a day school, and the boys would go and talk to the girls. I was so confused. Why I was confused wasn't because of I didn't know who I was. I knew who I was. I wasn't attracted to girls, but I was just like in this situation where I'm not able to tell these boys that I liked boys, and I'm not able to tell these girls that I like them. And I will go to these schools with them sometimes, and they will be talking to the girls. I will be talking to the girls. I'll be asking myself, what am I doing here? And that was a massive problem for me. And I know that this happens to a lot of really, really young gay boys, really, really young queer people up until today. And this is why representation matters, why I am doing the things that I'm doing, because it was hell to be in that situation. Not having a language to express express how you feel is horrible. These days, because there's social media, times have really moved on in 2026 and beyond. Hopefully, it is easier for a lot of young people to now be able to say, this is who I am, and not have any conflict of who they are and not understanding who they are. And I'm so happy for that, because it is absolutely amazing that this is happening, that people are able to know the languages. That's why if you see like in certain schools and in certain parts of the world like the UK, you see kids who are in school, some kids as early as 4, 5, 6, 7, they will be telling you, oh, I'm this, and they are extremely assured and sure of who they are. And that is not the same for a lot of children. I knew I was different, but I didn't know the name as early as I should. And that's something that is commendable in that respect. I was comparing so badly. I did this up until I finished my secondary school years, because I will see them, they will be talking and they will be talking about girls. I will just be there. I compared myself so much that it was so horrible. I'm just going to talk about present day for a minute. I am reparenting myself, and I do this every freaking day, and I continue to learn things about myself and improve myself, how I feel, and understanding that I don't need any permission, approval, or anything like that from anybody to be me. I have stopped that comparison in respect to my sexual orientation, because who I am is who I am, and I'm not going to change it because I was born this way. And that is something that I've come to the realization of, and I made peace with. But as a child, it was a nightmare being around children that are different, and you're trying to navigate and find out what is going on with you. Why am I different? It was hell. And I have seen people that I know up until this age that are still struggling with this. I had what you call aha moments. I will call this my turning point. I might have touched a bit about it. This is my turning point where I started realizing that I was gay, and I started being sure of myself, even though I wasn't telling people about it. I wasn't discussing about it. I wasn't open about it, but I was okay. I now know who I am. I now know that I'm a homosexual, and that is fine. I'm no longer struggling and fighting within myself. I totally understand that this is who I am. That is when I started saying, okay, I'm not going to ask anybody. I'm not going to compare myself anymore, because I know this is who I am. But at the same time, I was still not able to express myself to say to people, oh, I'm gay. But I know who I am at this point in time. When I first realized that I was actually gay, really gay, was in my compound in Kano, and we were doing this sort of wrestling. I was at puberty. I realized that, oh my God, I love the body of boys. Of course, I knew I like boys. At this time, I already have my sexual awakening. That's when I really understood 100%. Of course, it wasn't like anything sexual. And then I got to secondary school in Enugu. There's this particular boy, we were in the same level, first year students. We saw each other, we knew we were gay, and he was interested. I wasn't really wanting to do anything, so I just was not doing anything with him. He would always follow me around in school. At this point, I knew who I was. Everything about my realization was gradual. I always knew that I was gay since I was 6 years old. It's something that was very clear to me. The consequences of being a homosexual is a lot. I am still dealing with the consequences up until today. I don't think that will stop. I think it's something that will continue all my life, and I'm okay with that. Fear of being discovered, questioning myself were a lot of the things I was really afraid of. Those things made me not to live my life the way I should have lived my life earlier on. Isolation, being cut off from your family, rejection, not being accepted, not being wanted, and those things are my reality today. I don't have some of my family members in my life. I have lost people who are supposed to be my friends, and they are no longer my friends. That's not something that a lot of people want to deal with, because it is something extremely horrible. I went through a phase in my life where I was thinking about all of these consequences. I did not really try to pray it away, but I did ask why. Why am I different? God, why? And there were never answers for this. I know people personally who tried to pray it away. I never did, but I kept asking why. Why am I different? I know that my life was going to be tough for me, and it is tough. If I'm not someone that is mentally capable, I will be crying every day and fighting people every day, but I'm not. I have been able to build a shield around me in such a way that it is powerful. I have grieved a lot of things in my life. I have grieved the loss of my parents. I have grieved the loss of not speaking to my brothers. I have grieved the loss of friendships. And I have gotten to a place where the consequences doesn't mean anything to me in so many ways, because I am now able to not care about what anybody thinks, because that approval, I don't care anymore. That permission, I don't care anymore. That questioning of who I am and all of these things are not the things that I care about anymore. So with that, I feel free, and that's what life is about. There are times where I will be like, I wish it was different, but I don't have any choice. I cannot change who I am. I didn't choose to be who I am. Silence affects a lot of young queer people, young queer boys. Silence is what makes them go into their shell, what makes them not to be able to live their life. It doesn't equip them, and it is hurtful, because that silence around sexuality is horrible. You don't have the tools to be able to live your life and things like this. Because of this, a lot of queer young African boys and girls do not have a language for who they are, do not have people to go and speak to, where to get help and support. They are vilified, they are demonized, they are called the devil, they are called sinners, they are called demons. It is horrible not to have a place to be safe, a safe space for you as a young child who is queer. Culture and religion shape this. A lot of our people do not understand the difference between inherited identity and inherited prejudice. This is where they conflate religion and culture, and they use it against queer people and queer children specifically. I saw a video of a particular woman that was saying that she doesn't respect adults because as a child that was trafficked, trigger one in here, that nobody advised her, nobody helped her. The adults in her life were very mean. And I can see that if you are a young queer child and you are around people that are always vilifying you and saying that you are evil, do you know what that does to a child? Horrible. I want each and every one of us to understand that we now have a language. That is why people like me are here. Representation, visibility matters. It is absolutely important. If any queer child from Africa sees someone like me, they know, yes, this is someone that is speaking for me. This is someone that is saying that who I am is not wrong. I have a community. There are people like me. I wish the younger me had someone like me in their life, or someone around that could let me know that who I am is not wrong. I never had that, and we have that now. Thanks to social media, thanks to YouTube, to Instagram, to TikTok, to Facebook, to Twitter, to Snapchat, to website, to Substack, to so many platforms. You are able to put things out there for young people, for everyone to see that they are not alone. Realizing who I was and who I am never made things easier for me. It was just a beginning of a much harder journey, and that journey I am on. Thank you so much for watching. I want you to understand, to know that you are not wrong, you are not a mistake, you are not a taboo, you are not a phase, it is not a choice. You did not choose to be who you are. You were born this way. You came out of your mother's womb a gay person, a lesbian, LGBTQIA+. That's who you are. Do not let anyone tell you any different. Let love lead the way. Have a wonderful time. I will see you in the next video.